Hey, Jabba. Look, Jabba, I was just on my way to pay you back, and I got a little sidetracked. It's not my fault.
Kabuk, Unit Solo. King Sari Kabak Bagla.
Welcome back to Retro Wednesdays, Tied to Your Parents. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about the next 17 Ephant Man, or Elephant Man like most people know this character to be. Now, this is very interesting because this next 17 is basically picking up where the last 17 left off, where Kenner left off, and going forward as if they were Kenner. Really great ideas going on right there, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about this figure, how it blends in very, very well with a vintage, and compare it to the modern Hasbro take on it, show it in a couple of displays, and then kind of compare this and the route that Next 17 is going versus where Hasbro's going. They're going two different directions. One's fan-made, and one is corporate. We'll talk about all this coming up. All right, taking a quick look at this guy. Materials, paint, aesthetic, it's all a win. So he is made from a full production run at a factory, and it's actual injected molded plastic, and the figure itself has the dyed plastic with paint accents to it, so it looks like from the back. It looks really cool overall. Fits the character, very well. Now, getting a much closer look at here, we have some paint accents right here with the orange hair coming out of there, and that is both molded in and it is painted. We do have this little star for the Sith. This is the Sith variation. The original variation, I think, had a dark tan coat, and then they had a lighter tan coat variation. We'll see some more of that coming up. And then the eyes look really good. They're painted very well on there. And then he has more paint accents sort of for his nose. And then he's got right here the teeth, the lower teeth. And the cool thing, I really do kind of like that he put the feet on there, and we'll see that again why that is so significant. Now his weapon, it is removable, and he holds it very well. He does have paint on his fingernails there, and the weapon is a cane, kind of like we saw with the Emperor, that kind of stuff, but it's a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker, and I don't think it's painted at all. I got maybe that's, I'm not sure what that is, but anyway, it's still really a cool looking cane. It gets the job done. It's just very retro Kenner feel to it. Now, it's got some weight behind it, and I was kind of curious if, like, this whole nose piece here, if that moved at all, but I don't see that it moves at all, so that's something that it's just molded in and then painted very well. So looks pretty good overall. Let's see how this figure fits in with actual vintage figures. Okay, so here he is compared to some vintage figures. Now, this is Yak Face. Yak Face is the last 17, where technically where we left off with all of this, he's not even on his own card back. He has 92 back card back, he's not even on it. But this is where Kenner left off. This is the next 17 picking up where it left off. So that makes a lot of sense. But these are all kind of buddies, more or less. They're Jabba goons, and they kind of fit well together. Now, this is a reproduction. This is not an original. I only have one original, and I keep it very, very safe. I don't pull it out for reviews at all, or anything like that. So with this, most of these other companies are trying to reproduce the hard-to-get figures like Yak Face and all of them, make them affordable to people. And what's going on with Next 17 is moving down the road to characters that have not been made yet and will flesh out the line. We'll see more about that coming up too. Now, I do want to say, design-wise, it feels like when I see this, I think Anakin, and I think like the Emperor, which I just didn't have an Emperor really handy right now. So when you think about that, that's very similar in design. But if you look, there's no feet. You don't see feet. The robe goes over the feet, but no feet were ever molded in. So I think it's like a next step level, next 17, next step level to actually have the feet on there. That's awesome. Could have probably just made the whole thing just go straight all the way down, no feet, and probably gotten away with it. But that feet, that's nice touch, and I really do like that. So here's the version of Ephant Man that I currently have in my display, and it's not vintage retro. It doesn't mesh very well with your vintage collection at all. So when you look at all of this, you can say, okay, well, this is the best that we've gotten from Hasbro so far, which it's a good looking figure. It matches the screen accuracy, but doesn't really match a vintage like we would want. And like all of my displays, I display vintage figures unless they didn't make it back then. I have a modern figure. So now it's kind of one of those things where I'm going to be able to put this in as my figure, and that's going to be awesome. Instead of having this guy, which this guy's a good guy, it's a good figure, but it doesn't really fit. It doesn't fit scale-wise, aesthetically, or anything with your vintage Kenner collection. So now we can replace him with him. So I do actually display Ephant Man, the other one, on my cell barge. Now that doesn't really make sense because he never was on the cell barge, according to some of the people that are experts on this character or whatever. So anyhow, that's still where I display it because it's one of Jabba's goons, and I just figured he would have been on there, but I'm hearing he wasn't. So it's still kind of cool. You can see how he meshes and fits with there. Yeah, that looks good. And then let's see what he looks like in Jabba's palace. So here he is in Jabba's palace, head of security. As you can kind of see, he fits in really well. He fits well with vintage figures. Now, they didn't make the Eomar Monk, Eomar Monk, whatever, back in the day. I've got a better carbonite in there. And if you look over here with these, they didn't make the Jabba's dancers back in the day, and that guy's digitally rendered in. I'm sure I'm committing a sin by having him in here, but you know, it's just one of those things. She wasn't made back in the day. So I'm starting to wonder how many of these figures that I use as stand-ins will get replaced with vintage style figures eventually, because I'm thinking that's probably going to happen. So that would be pretty cool. And so when I see figures like this, that always comes to mind. Okay, so I'm going to link his site, Next 17, down below. But there are 2 different options for Wave 2 coming up, and you can still buy these 2 figures down here. So with that, let's talk a little bit about Wave 2. The dark coated one, this one right here, the first one he made is sold out. There will not be another production run on that, at least not anytime soon. So with this, there are going to be all of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 figures that are going to be in Wave 2. Now those 6 figures are going to be 188 pounds, I believe, plus shipping, something along those lines. And so that's got to convert over to whatever currency you're using. For me, it would be US dollars. Now, there's going to be a budget wave that only has less figures for 150 pounds. So instead of buying all of the repaint variants, then you could just jump in there and get the new stuff, is my belief on how this is working. Now, starting with 94 is Ephant Man, then number 95 is Jaquil, and then we've got an Obi-Wan Kenobi Death Star Prowl, and then 97 Baby Wampa, which is pretty cool. And then the 98 Tanis Spejik. Now, the Jaquil and the Tanis are Jabba henchmen, and then Luke Jedi Master, and then Obi-Wan Tatooine Arrival. Now, there's going to be other variations and stuff, so you can check the site out to see other ordering variations that are out there. But pretty cool, trying to make it a little bit cheaper. This figure itself is $45. So, yeah, this figure is $45 plus shipping. And the thing is that ordering 6 figures at once gets the price down to 33 figure instead of a higher price. So that's why he's going to start doing these in batches and letting you order them in batches, which I think makes a whole lot more sense. He also has this backdrop here, which is really cool too. He has a lot of different backdrops, and I'm not really sure how much he charges for each one, but they're pretty cool. He just sent this one along so you can see this is, of course, the scene in the cantina. And I think that it's really important to have stuff like this in your display so it enhances your display and things look a lot better. Right here on the back, look at the next17.com, next 17, ages 40 and up. And the cool thing about that is it looks a lot like Kidder right there. So I don't think Hasbro is going in the right direction, in my opinion, for vintage collectors when it comes to the retro collection. Now, retro collection sells very well, but you can see they do fit. Now, their retro figures do fit with a Kenner line, Kenner and Spyle. This figure here, the Ephant Man, fits with what's going on with Hasbro. But Hasbro is creating new figures from new media. That's not where this company or Graham or even any of the other ones making these figures for retro are going. They're going in a continual direction. I like that. And it's kind of my feeling and the feeling of a lot of other people. Hasbro should have done this. But since Hasbro's not doing this, fans got to step up. All right, so let me know what you think about this figure. What do you think about the next run of figures that are coming up from Next 17. I really think the name is really cool. I think it's really awesome. This is a one-man team, but hey, I'm really excited. It's been a while since I got excited about anything Star Wars, and I wish Hasbro would do stuff like this, but they're not going to. So it takes kind of the boutique creators, the actual fans, to do it themselves, and that's what we're getting right here. We're getting with this Ephant man, and it is pretty cool. So are all these things coming from Next 17. I'll leave links down below where you can get yours. Like and subscribe. Hanger out.